entire format to that. That would be good.
Hey, good Wednesday afternoon, folks. This is your weekly goRIA live stream with Jeff and Chuck. I am the Jeff Benjamin from Investment News. Chuck?
I am Chuck Vela, the founder and CEO of Sovereign Financial Group, and RIA enthusiast.
Yes, you are. You are that. What are we talking about this week? Are we talking about that, how being a fiduciary can sometimes notch you up and get you doing things that aren't necessarily or could be interpreted as not best for the clients?
Or put you in jail for 30 years, as we found out with our research, yeah? So feeling kind of philosophical here, right? We all know that there are certainly things that are legal but are completely unethical.
Uh-huh.
Well, can you have the opposite? Can you have something that's illegal perhaps be quite ethical indeed? And I think that's what we want to talk about today.
Yeah. This is something I wrote about this past week. The idea of being a fee-only advisor with a client who needs insurance, and that would trigger a commission. Being a fee-only advisor, you're not supposed to take a commission, but you could direct your client somewhere else to get that commission and to get that insurance and pay a commission. So your client's fees go up by that amount, and you're the holistic planner. You directed your client there, so you feel maybe a fiduciary obligation to get your client that insurance somehow, but maybe keep the fees where they were, where you agreed. And the idea that I know, Chuck, you're a big fan of is having those fees, those insurance commissions be offset, right? So you can keep the fees at, let's say they're $10,000 a year, just for the sake of conversation. The insurance triggers $1,000 commission. You offset you take the commission. So the client pays it to you instead of somebody else and ends up paying $11,000 a year. And then everybody's happy. Your client doesn't pay more. You still get your $10,000 and Bob's your uncle, right?
Yeah. And it keeps it clean, right? So all that sounds good, except for the 30 years in jail thing, right? So right now, what you're describing there is technically insurance commission rebating, which Jeff knows, I know, we all know is illegal. But the question is, does it have to be, or should it be in every context? And just real quick, for those of you in the audience, chime in. I really, both Jeff and I would love to hear different thoughts, because even on LinkedIn and Twitter, there were a ton of thoughts, contradictory thoughts, different types of views on this. We would love to flesh that out a little bit today, which would be great. So if you have any comments, put them in the chat, and they will get to us, and we will read them on this live stream and go into it. But here's what we're talking about, right? If you're a fee-only advisor, which I happen to be, and this is not a holier than thou situation and all this, which I know a lot of fee-only advisors kind of get very, what's the word, sanctimonious, or, holier than thou and this and that, whatever you want to call it, right? I happen to be a fee-only advisor. I do not have a 7. I do not have an insurance license. That is the way I prefer working with clients. I happen to think it's the better way to work with clients, which is why I'm doing it, but that's what I choose to do. But this is not a judgment situation for those of you that work on a commission basis, but there are some issues with that, right? So the problem I have with commission, if you have 3 or 4 different commission, that's the definition of conflict of interest, right? And there's always going to be conflict. There's conflict with AUM fees versus fixed fees. Obviously, there's conflicts anywhere. What we're talking about here is, what could we do, not to reach perfection, because you never do, but how could we get closer to better for clients? And I think evening the playing field is one of those ways of doing this, and taking the commission out of the product, I think, would make a ton of sense. So something I mentioned in our conversation earlier, Jeff, mutual funds for years have had different share classes. You have your A share class, where you have an upfront commission. Have a C share class with trail. You have the no load. You can buy A shares at NAV. A lot of choices. I happen to like choice. No one can argue against choice. Why can't we have those choices for insurance products, right? If you think whole life insurance is what your client needs, I don't think it's needed that often. I think there are a lot of advisors out there that feel it's needed way more than it is, in my humble opinion. But let's say you do need it. Why not give the advisor and or the client the opportunity? Here's your whole life insurance policy. with the commission, and here's the same exact chassis with the commissions removed, just like they're being done right now, as they have been done for decades for tens of thousands of mutual funds that are out there. Why can't we do that? Is kind of the question. And again, kind of polling the audience here. If anyone wants to chime in, I would love to hear some opinions on this. But this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, and Chuck, for this situation where you want to offset the commissions, it's a very narrow or small list of insurance products that we're talking about, right? Because there are some fee-based insurance products that have evolved, and maybe, but talk about those three things. I think that you said you would like to see.
The final frontier, if you will, I think is how I frame that. So the industry has done a great job with annuities. There's a great variety of and choice within. I don't want to say fee-based annuities because that's not really accurate. They're essentially commission-free annuities, which you could put a fee on top of, but they're commission-free. Very full stop. So the industry, and there's some big leaders in this industry like David Lau from DPL. The folks at Halo are doing a lot of good stuff over there as well, where they're putting together a great platform for letting advisors access commission-free annuities. Tons of choice. There are some commission-free variable universal life policies. Not a lot, there's some. And after doing a lot of research, I cannot find any commission-free whole life insurance policies, nor can you find any commission-free, at least I haven't been able to find any, term, long-term disability, and long-term care, right? And those are kind of the ones we're focusing on in this particular context, right? The three, what I like to call use it or lose it policies, the term, disability, long-term care. Why not offer those with and without commissions? I don't see why you wouldn't want to. I know it's more complex, but it should not be, I don't think, that much more complex than the mutual fund carriers that offer the same exact fund, the same exact investments with and without commissions. Why not offer that choice to the public? And I think that would be a good thing to do. And that's one of the things we've been talking about. So would it be helpful maybe if I share that example? Like, I think a best use case for this, as you said before, let's say the advisor is a fee-only advisor and says, look, my financial planning fee is $5,000 a year. It is $10,000 a year using that flat fee model. But then I will offset my planning fee by any AUM fees I collect for the asset management I may be doing, and also offsetting it by any commissions I would be collecting if I do any insurance products. That I think would help quite a bit in the sense that you can then offer anything out there with or without commissions. And if there's a mechanism in place to have those commissions flow through the firm, probably an RIA, or it could be a broker dealer, I suppose, and then have that pass on to offset those financial planning fees. What I like about that is simply the fact that you will be able to say, this is my fee, this is what I'm going to charge. And then if anything else flows into my basket, if you will, then what I'm going to do is simply offset my advisory fees. And I think we might have lost Jeff for just a moment. I know he was having some issues with his internet. So I'm going to kind of power through here. And again, if anyone has any sort of questions or comments, especially opinions, that's kind of one of the best things about the live stream format is we would love to see some opinions on this. Do let us know. So the other thing I was going to mention on this is the ability to remove as much bias as possible and as much conflict of interest as possible. Now, you will never completely eliminate all conflicts of interest, right? It's really hard to. So even, the most pure, if you will, or what some people would say is a very pure way of doing your advisory fee model, which would be a flat fee. Well, isn't there a conflict there too, right? If there's just a flat fee, then isn't there a conflict to do as little work as possible because I'm still getting the same flat fee? That is a conflict. The AUM fee, okay, is there a conflict there? Well, perhaps, right? There's going to be a conflict in almost every type of situation. That's just the nature of human nature. But what we're saying is, can't we do a little bit of a better job as an industry to make that conflict a little bit less? And just kind of checking in with Jeff, how are you doing with that internet connection? Are you able to come back on, or has it been lost? Because I'm not seeing you. There you are. Oh, live TV here, folks. We're having some technical difficulties. Okay, we can't hear you. I think Angelica might have just taken you off screen for the time being. So this is what we were going to talk about today and have been talking about. You're going to hear more of my perspective, of course, because Jeff's having some technical issues. But these are some things that I think are worth reviewing and worth giving some thought to. I will say that I have been speaking with some folks in organizations, both in the insurance industry as well as the fiduciary care industry, if you want to call it that. There's certainly firms out there that specialize in that. I'm not really prepared to mention any names yet, but we are talking with them to see if we could do something collaborative to put together a solution to get better choices for end clients. And I think the ideal would be that any financial product out there, if you feel needs to have a commission, okay, but why not offer all of those with a commission-free option as well? I don't think there could be anything wrong with that. And if there is, I would certainly love to hear some thoughts on who could argue against that. Perhaps there'd be an argument to say there should only be fee-based products. Okay, sure. I think there are some arguments. Sometimes commissions can make more sense. I'm not disagreeing with that. But how could you possibly argue that having a choice of the same product, same chassis, same benefits, same features, one with, one without commission, and let the advisor with their clients determine what's best for them? I think that's the best way to go. So that's what we were getting at when we were saying today we're going to talk about the idea of something being illegal, as fee rebating is, and unethical. I think it'd be pretty darn ethical to be able to do it, and would certainly love to hear some contrary opinions to that. So that's my 2 cents on this. I'm sorry that we kind of lost Jeff on this particular presentation. That's a big part of this, but we are going to be working on those issues for next time. But for now, let me tell you this: we have some articles that are already on the goRIA website. In fact, the article that Jeff wrote talking about this issue, these live streams are kind of to wet your whistle a little bit, whet your appetite. But I'd really encourage everyone to go to the goRIA site. Easy enough to get to. You just go to the investment news website. Upper right-hand side, you'll see a little tab that says goRIA. You click that. You're going to see the podcasts we've done so far, of which there's a great trio of the 3 different ways of going RIA. One with Cheryl Penny from Dynasty, one from the folks at Farther, and one kind of one-person shop that started his own RIA. That was pretty cool content. The one that just got released today is a deep dive into compliance. Compliance, of course, is a really important aspect of going RIA. So there's a lot of good stuff being archived right now that's very evergreen and worth checking out. And of course, there's an entire section of curated articles that Jeff curates himself. It's called Best for Breakaways. And top of the list there is going to be this article that Jeff wrote discussing this idea, right? And it's not necessarily just an RIA only type of concept, but it's certainly one that resonates perhaps most with RIAs because they tend to be more fee-based than the broker-dealer counterparts. So having said that, for closing thoughts, check out the goRIA. There's a lot of good content there. Hook up with me, hook up with Jeff on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook. Let us know what you guys may want to hear about, and we'd be happy to produce that content for you. Lastly, we're also putting a whole new section in. That'll be just all resources like checklists and calculators for people looking to go RIA spreadsheets. And that's going to be rolling out in the coming months. We'll keep you guys posted on that. Lastly, a little bit of foreshadowing. We just wrapped up a podcast. It was recorded. I think we're going to release that in a couple of weeks with Brian Hamburger over at Market Council. Really great content, as you would imagine, with Brian, and some really good tips on how to and how not to leave your existing broker-dealer, and some safety tips to keep in mind as well. So that's pretty much it for this live stream. I promise we're going to have it back to the Jeff and Chuck show by next week. But on behalf of both Jeff and myself and the team here at Investment News, thanks a lot for joining us, and we will see you next Wednesday. Take care.